What's up? It is Melissa T, the procrastination bully, with an offer for you. I am announcing a winter sale for the Getting the Win gear store. If you're someone, you've seen our shirts, you like the gear, you like what we're saying, hashtag get on that, hashtag luxury item, all the good things. If you're familiar with these catchphrases and you love them, they resonate with you, go to gettingthewingear.com. I've got a new winter collection that has launched. And I've got some new items there as well. Not just the winter collection, but a few other new items as well. So if you're someone who's navigated a trauma or transition, or if you're just somebody that's looking to beat procrastination in your own life and you want the clothing with the message to remind you that you are a winner and a go-getter, head over to gettingthewingear.com for all your swag. Use the code WINTER for 20% off your order. That's the code WINTER at checkout. Use that for 20% off your entire order. But go there now. Again, Q4 is underway. We know we're supposed to be looking forward to Q1 of the next year. So be sure that you're prepared and get your swag today. In today's episode, we're going to be tackling something that is insidiously blocking us from our blessings, that could potentially ruin our relationships or weaken them at the very least, and something that could be blocking us from potential opportunities that could change our lives. Let's get into it. Good evening. Happy Wednesday, my winners and goal getters. Welcome back to the Getting the Win show. I'm your host, Melissa T, the procrastination bully. In today's episode, I am tackling a way to beat indecisiveness. If you're somebody that struggles with deciding on stuff, you see me raising my hand. I'm someone that struggles with that. I have a cheat code today that's going to be a difference maker for you. And this is one that I recently learned. Because as always, our mission with this show is to help women who've navigated a trauma or transition find healing through writing their first book. But of course, the procrastination bully is still here, right? So I'm still here to bully the procrastination in you. And indecisiveness or indecision is a form of procrastination. Like, it's us taking a little too long to choose between the options that are laid before us. So in today's episode, I want to share a cheat code. Okay, before I get into the cheat code, let me talk very briefly about why indecision is such a problem. And if you're somebody that struggles with this, you will resonate with what I'm talking about. But from my own experience, I can tell you, indecision is an instant slowdown. It's an instant slowdown. You may be on something that has a steady stream of momentum. You're meeting somebody that's new, not necessarily romantically, but you're networking or whatever, meeting somebody that's new, and you're presented with an opportunity, but you hesitate because you're starting to weigh, several options in your head. While being careful and cautious is indeed a good thing, you can tell by the folks in the environment around you, or if it's just the one person you're talking to, you can see the reaction on their face as the fire starts to die and their eyes start to glaze over because the momentum has slowed down, because you're weighing your options. You haven't made a decision, right? Stop me if you recognize this. You're at a restaurant, everybody's placed their order, and they get to you, or in this case, me, and I'm taking forever to order because I'm still choosing something, right? Indecision slows momentum. And in this world that we live in, particularly if you're watching me from the United States of America, you understand this because the world of capitalism moves fast. One of the things we hear very often, particularly in the personal development world, is success loves speed. Success loves speed. The other thing you likely hear if you're in the US is money loves speed because it's all about decisiveness. Okay? So I get it. It's annoying. And if you're anything like me, you start to wonder if there's something wrong with you. Here's the truth of the matter, though. All of us are wired differently. We're all wired differently. So someone like me, and if you're a detail-oriented person and you take a while to make your choices, we're wired for details. We're wired to go over all the details, which therefore means there's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with you, okay? That's the power of this cheat code that I'm going to share with you. And this comes from, to the point I'm making about capitalism, this actually comes from a business owner. So I learned this from Simon Sinek. You guys, if you've been rocking with me for a while, I've mentioned Simon Sinek on the show before. And now that I'm talking about it, it'll be great to have him on the show. We'll see about that. But Simon Sinek is someone who does a lot of consulting with corporate leaders and entrepreneurs who are founders or company owners. Okay. So entrepreneurs and corporate leaders. And he teaches people how to create healthy work environments for leaders, because a lot of the high turnover that corporate employers experience is due to poor leadership or poor work culture, poor company culture. So he specializes in building relationships between the leadership and middle management, as well as frontline management, right? So he learned this from this business owner, which I thought was so awesome. This was a gentleman who had a business in the 50s. He had a shoe store. He ran women's shoe stores, I should say. He didn't have one, he had a chain of them. But one of the things he teaches is the principle of 2, not 3. And this is the cheat code for you. If you're someone who's indecisive, take this, put it in your pocket, use it for the rest of your life. The principle of 2, not 3. Here's how it works. He would be in the store. There would be a woman that's browsing, perusing the various different shoes. She sees one she likes. May I try that one on, please? It's provided to her. She sees another one she likes. May I try that one on, please? It's provided to her. There's a third one that she likes, and she says, may I see that one? This owner says, okay, which of these 2 would you like to take away? This is the principle of 2, not 3. So when he was asked why he chose to use that approach, here's what he said. Empirical data, right? He said, when people are presented with 3 options, they leave buying no shoes. When they're forced to choose between 2, they always buy. It's a simple principle. And someone like Simon Sinek was able to take that away, because for all of his intellectualism, for someone who comes away as, or who comes across as super smart, even he admits his brain is a mess. Therefore, his living space is usually a mess, because he's a scatterbrain. He covers every surface. But even he said that principle was a game changer for him, because it helped him narrow down the options in his own life. So when he's presented with a smorgasbord of things to choose from, and he wants to clarify things or make space, he'll pair things off and eliminate based on those pairs. So that is the cheat code, the principle of 2, not 3. And you've seen this in real life, right? Think about any website you've ever visited that is offering some kind of paid service, whether it's a monthly subscription or some sort of package offerings, right? You've seen websites that offer 2 options. You've seen websites that offer 3. You've seen websites that offer 5. We've all seen it, right? Tell me how many of those websites that offer 5 options did you ever pay for a subscription from? Or did you ever buy a package from? Versus the websites that only offer you 3 options or only offer 2. Right? So this is the cheat code. Use the principle of 2, not 3. If you're someone that struggles with indecisiveness, use that principle to very quickly start pairing off things and erasing them or eliminating them. Okay? That's actually one of the reasons why the majority of websites that offer packages, you'll usually only see 3, because it has been proven in psychological studies When a human being is presented with too many options, we choose none. We walk away. It's too much. It's too confusing. It's too much to consider. Our mental bandwidth, we ain't got it, right? We ain't got it. So it's more financially effective to lower your package offerings to 3 at most. And if you're following that shoe salesman, if you can whittle it down to 2, by all means, whittle it down to 2. We can even extend this to the politics. There are other countries in the world where there are multiple political parties in existence. In the US, if you're somebody that's in the US and you're frustrated with the way things are going politically either way, the truth of the matter is things are the way they are because we only have predominantly 2 choices, which makes it much easier for people to vote, just mentally speaking. I'm not defending the system either way. What I'm saying is with that principle of 2, not 3, it's a lot easier to make a decision. So if you're presented, the next time you're presented, in fact, with multiple options, do the process of elimination that way. Pair things off. Don't just eliminate one at a time. That might take you a while. That might be the reason why the momentum slows down so much, right? Go by pairs. Say, for instance, and it doesn't even have to be an even number of pairs, right? But start with pairs, and that can make a difference. If you're at your favorite restaurant and you're presented with 5 options that you want to choose to eat, start with 2, eliminate from there. Go to the next 2, eliminate from there. And then round it out, just like the brackets you see in sports. Any championship that you're watching, that's literally how it works, right? 2 teams play against each other, one gets eliminated. Move on to the next pair. The winner plays the next. Elimination. We see another pairing. Elimination. We see another pairing. Elimination. Until we get to the last 2. The championship game. And then there's only one winner. Right? So when you're presented with a bunch of options, use that principle of 2, not 3. So this can apply if we're talking books now, if we want to get very specific to the purpose of this show. Say, for instance, you're in the foundation step and you're kind of between a couple of genres that you want to choose for your book, or maybe even 3 of them, because perhaps your trauma or your transition encompasses more than one topic. I'll use one of our ladies that was in the book boot camp that we wrapped up at the end of September. She's focusing on a book that's teaching financial freedom, but she's teaching it specifically for moms, really. So if we're talking financial responsibility, there are several directions she could go in with that. She could focus on strictly financial responsibility or strictly financial freedom, or she could be teaching parenting principles since she's aiming at moms, or she could be doing something that's aimed specifically at the children, like high school students, doing a financial book specifically for high school students. So that was a bit of a roadblock for her as we were working through the steps and the framework during the boot camp. So then I asked her, because in her case, she wanted to know who to talk to in the book based on what tone she should use. So she was between talking to the student or talking to the mom. So we ultimately landed on, since you're a mom and you know what that feels like to raise your children to be financially responsible yourself, because she now has adult children that she has raised with those financial principles, and she's able to use those stories in her book, it makes better sense for you to talk to the moms, because you're already a mom, you know how to talk that language, they'll understand you. So we were able to, through that process of elimination, pair off, okay, we're not just doing a book on parenting. She didn't want that. She wanted to focus on finances. But between now that we're done with the parenting option that's gone, we've paired the financial principles talking to the moms or the financial principles talking to the high school student. We then eliminated that one. So now she's talking to the moms. The financial principles will help the high school student, but she's speaking tonally in the book to the moms while providing the tools that the student will use. So the mom will read the book, learn the principle, and then teach the principles to her high school student, to her high school son, her high school daughter. And that way, in the marketing, it will be much more native and much easier for her to be able to express that language, to express the frustrations and the pain points because she knows them, because she's a mom herself. So that's an example of that. In my case, the Pain to Prose playbook, full transparency, I had to pivot with my book as well. Originally, that book began as the book in December that I shared with you guys on social media that God downloaded to me. I talked about it in an earlier episode on this show when I shared during the live stream about the lessons I learned when I went on vacation with my family to Jamaica. That big download I got with that book, originally the download was productivity oriented. Then I pivoted it to the Pain to Prose playbook that it is now. And I incorporated my framework into it. So there are still productivity principles in the book, but now it's tailored to using productivity principles in the writing process to make the writing process that much easier, that much simpler, and therefore that much faster. So you get from idea to published in much less time. So we all encounter these things in life, right? This principle 2, not 3, will help you when you're faced with a bunch of different choices to be able to make the decision that much faster. That way you're not killing the momentum anymore. And here's the reason why it was so important for me to share this information with you. Globally speaking, to this day, there is a self-esteem pandemic. There was a global study in which 85% of people have low self-esteem. 85. And remember, this is a global study, okay? So out of 8.3 billion people, 85% struggle with low self-esteem. And a big culprit for that is indecisiveness. Because again, indecisiveness is a form of procrastination. And one of the biggest things that we deal with when we procrastinate is a loss of self-respect. Because we've no longer kept our word either to ourselves or to someone else. And the fact that we've now done that is a blow to our self-confidence. Because it's like, oh wow, like I said I could do it, but I didn't. And now they doubt me now. They doubt my ability to get something done because I didn't come through for them. That's going to affect our relationship now. They're going to look at me sideways. They're not going to trust me. And if you've been following this show for a while, one of the quotes I like to share very often is Ed Milet when he talks about self-confidence. It's simply keeping the promises we make to ourselves consistently. Self-confidence is consistently keeping the promises we make to ourselves, right? So when I do my webinars, I like to share that 85% statistic, and then I always follow it up with, you're within the 15%, period. If you're watching this right now, you're within my hearing, you're hearing with my voice, you're in the 15%, period. I'm declaring that, I'm speaking that over you. You are a winner, you are a goal getter, right? And this cheat code, 2, not 3, will help you maintain that consistency of keeping your word to yourself, making decisions much more quickly. Because if you're indecisive, It's simply a muscle that you need to flex more often, not unlike going to the gym. That's it. And when you can make decisions more quickly, you can fail faster and fail forward. Because the more lessons you learn, the faster you can get back up and the faster you'll move forward. You'll have the clarity as you move. Because I get it. Those of us who are detail oriented, those of us who have a tendency to be indecisive, it comes from a trauma response. We have a fear of failure or a fear of judgment. And both of those can be rooted to a fear of abandonment too, right? All of these things are akin to a root of rejection. We take our time in making our decision because we want to make the right decision the first time. So I get it. But the conundrum is, while you might be afraid to make the wrong decision when you take action, you actually don't gain the clarity when you're trying to be as deliberate as possible in your decision making. By all means, be strategic, but you gain clarity as you move. That's the conundrum. You gain the clarity as you move. So fail faster, okay? And don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to. Fail faster, learn the lesson faster. That way you can make decisions more quickly. Because here's the thing. The more often you make mistakes, the less they hurt, the less uncomfortable they are for you. So let's flex that muscle. And I say let's because, like I said, recovering chronic procrastinator, okay? Which is why I'm the procrastination bully. I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to lack the self-confidence. And I also know what it feels like to gain self-confidence through consistency. This show is a testament to that. We are now on episode 105 as of this recording. 2 consistent years. I've only been absent a couple of times. I've only missed a couple of Wednesdays, and they were for good reason. They were either technical difficulties or health reasons. So, consistency matters. It helps build our confidence. And with this cheat code of 2, not 3, you'll make your decisions that much more quickly. Even if you're presented with a whole bunch of things. Because here's the beautiful thing about leadership too. People love certainty. And when you can make decisions quickly, you move with certainty. Because like I said, mistakes hurt less when you're used to making them and learning from them and moving on quickly. People will gravitate to you when they sense certainty within you. When you're sharing your story of your trauma or your transition, and people sense a certainty within you, they're more likely to flock to you and follow you. Because not only have you navigated the trauma or the transition, but now you're speaking with a clarity of the experience. You've made the mistakes already. You've been embarrassed already. You've suffered the pain already. So now you're on the other side. You can speak with clarity and certainty, and they'll follow you because of that. Like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. He knows what he's talking about. In this case, I know what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about books because I've published a few, you know what I'm saying? Self-published 8 of them. Plus, I've had the privilege of working with best-selling authors as well. I made the mistakes, trust me, with my own material and with some of my clients. Ugh, like that pain in the chest is annoying. But after you've encountered enough of them, you're able to brush it off, like get up, process the lessons, and continue walking because you realize the world hasn't ended. Okay? You're still loved. You're still supported. You're still valuable. You're no less of a person because of the mistake or the bad decision. because there's that difference too. There's that distinction. There's a difference between a mistake, which is sincere, unintended, versus a bad decision. That implies intention. But either way, you're no less of a person. You learned a lesson and you keep pushing. Okay? So if you're indecisive on account of a fear of failure or on account of a fear of judgment, a fear of abandonment, fear of losing a relationship, fear of losing someone's respect, here's the thing. There are 8.3 billion of us. That's the global scale. If you want to bring it down, research the population in your country, and then bring it down further, research the population in your region. If you're watching from these United States, there are well over 330 million people here. So if you lose one person's respect, yes, it's painful. I validate that part because I'm someone who struggles with abandonment issues. I struggle with the root of rejection. So I get it. I'm not trivializing it at all. But the reminder that I give myself to keep myself moving forward is that the world hasn't ended and that God has plenty of other people for me to meet, to win the trust of, and to be a blessing to. If I lose one relationship, yes, that hurts. And there may be other relationships connected to that one person that I may also lose. And that has happened to me. But here's the thing. I have seen in my own life with my own eyes that there were other relationships that God led me to. And those people had other key relationships that were connected that led me to other blessings and more growth. Okay? The mastermind is a great example of that. I beat that drum all the time on the show. I promise you the mastermind is not sponsoring my show. For those who may be curious, I promise they're not sponsoring the show. But I will say, because of the relationships in there, I have been introduced to so many other amazing people because we're all like-minded in there and none of us have ulterior motives. We're all in there to help each other grow. Point blank, period. And that mastermind was a result of one relationship with one person, which is, of course, E.T. the hip hop preacher himself. It started with him. He formed a mastermind. All these other amazing people came in. I joined in 2023. I get attached to some incredible people, such as Mignon Francois. E.T. himself referred me to her. Like, that's a friendship I never saw coming. But I am honored to say that I'm one of her friends. I'm honored to say that she is a coach of mine. People like Travis, who, if you watched last week's episode, he dropped some amazing gems on the show. He's someone that has incredible insight in how to convert grief into purpose. People like Guy Holly, who's also been on the show, who's able to teach you the cheat codes to applying for and winning grants, which is amazing. Like, Guy has been able to secure over $1 million in grant funding in the last 2 years. That's since I've known him, which is nuts. So use that as an example. If you're someone who's indecisive because you are a stickler for making sure you dot every I and cross every T, because you're not trying to make no mistake, you ain't got time for that, nor do you want to lose any relationships in the process, I dare say, release yourself of that fear or that concern. And I'm going to quote Mustafa Ghonim here. He's in the ETA ecosystem. He's now the CEO of ETA. In a recent in-person mastermind, he told us this, and that one statement alone was worth the price of admission for me. It was worth the entire weekend. But he said, you have permission to fail. You have permission to make a mistake. Like, you're allowed to do that. Go do that. Fail faster. Make the mistake sooner so you can move on to the more brilliant ideas that much faster. So I'm passing that along to you as I wrap up here. You have permission to make the mistakes. You have permission to fail forward. Because one, there are plenty of other people who you can connect to that are willing to dust you off, even if you don't have the strength to dust yourself off. They're willing to dust you off, and I'm one of them. Like, follow me on Instagram at Getting the Win Show. DM me, DM the word community. I'll connect you into my community. I'll plug you in. But yeah, I'm one of them. Like, go back to any of the guests I've had on the show. Reach out to them as well. Comment on those and I'll connect you with those people as well. But you have amazing people who are willing to dust you off for you when you make your mistake and provide you with alternative perspectives that you can look forward and get up and move forward faster. Don't be afraid to make the mistake. Use this 2 not 3 principle in your life, even when you have a bunch of options in front of you, to whittle down the unnecessary options and get clear so that you can then start moving and gain even more clarity as you move, because that's how life works. And if you've been rocking with me for a while, one of the other principles I like to share concerning the clarity is there are certain things God will not unlock for you until you start moving. If you're somebody that studies the word, you've heard the story of Peter, walking on the water. Like, that miracle wasn't available to Peter until he started walking. And Peter was the daring one. That man had a mouth on him. The disciples saw Jesus on the water. It's a storm going on. So it's waves. It's choppy as I don't know what. He's walking on water. They think it's a ghost. Peter's like, Lord, if that's you, bid me come. Jesus was like, come. But if you notice, Peter wasn't able to walk on the water until he got on the water. Like, Jesus just telling him to come wasn't enough. So there are certain things that God won't unlock until you move. So use this principle to move faster. This isn't me rushing you, because I get it. If you're someone that's detail oriented, you don't like being rushed either. I don't like being rushed either. I get it. This is me as a kindred encouraging you that better is waiting for you and that you can get there even more quickly with a cheat code like this one. So as always, I hope this episode was a blessing to you. I hope you found it beneficial. Be sure to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube at Getting the Win. Follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, and Threads at Getting the Win Show. And I am on TikTok. You can find me there at Melissa T. Writes. That's Melissa with 2 L's and 2 S's. Melissa T. Writes. All right. And if you're an audiophile, you're listening to this, be sure to hit me up on Spotify. I am over there. So Getting the Win Show over on Spotify. So be sure to tap in whichever way you want to. If you want to join my community, once again, follow me on Instagram first at Getting the Win Show. Then DM me the word community and I'll shoot you the link to get into mine. But in the meantime and between time, have a great and productive rest of your Wednesday and a great and productive rest of your week. Peace.